for Change, featuring Frank Chapman, brought to you by the Richard and Mary Smithz Food Entrepreneurship Lecture. Hello, I'm Shane Boyer. I'm an assistant, still there? Okay, sorry about that. Assistant Professor of Management, and I'm also the Food and Agricultural Lead for the initiatives in our College of Business. And I'm excited to be here and all the stuff that's going on. But there's one other thing I need to tell you about myself, and I have to say this, that I am Frank Chapman's, at least in my opinion, favorite former professor. So we'll see how far that goes. We got some other College of Business faculty here. We'll have to do that as we get going. But first of all, I'd like to kick off here with the Richard and Mary Smithz. Dick is also known as Dick for their amazing support of this lecture. Dick is a 1964 graduate of Minnesota State Mankato. Back then it was Mankato State College, and making that switch to Mankato State University when he was here. But he's been a big supporter of the university since then. He also graduated from the College of Business with an accounting degree. Back in 1973, Dick opened up his first food retailing store, grocery store in Olivia, Minnesota. Then he went on to open up another one in Hudson, Wisconsin, and then he just kept going. And he went up to Duluth. He opened up a few more in Duluth, and then a number of them over in Wisconsin.
No, they did not.
Then in 2003, Dick sold all the businesses and he retired. I've heard from the grapevine, Dick, that you probably should have retired your golf game at that time as well. You're on a fixed income now. You're losing too many golf balls. Yeah. So Dick has been lots of roles here at the university as well. He was the foundation board president and was the 2002 Harold J. Fitter Service Award as a distinguished alum. In 1999, Dick and his wife Mary started the Richard and Mary Smithz Food Entrepreneurship Lecture. This annual lecture is given by industry experts in the category of food entrepreneurship. In the past 20 years, we've had a number of top executives in food processing, retailing, wholesaling, just a number of great lectures over the years. And this goes right along with what we're trying to do here in the College of Business. Okay? We're taking great strides right now in trying to elevate our agriculture and food innovation initiatives. And we've done things such as started it's called the Agriculture in the Modern Business Economy, an Ag Today club, student club. We've had a number of speakers and tours, and so we're really trying to promote agriculture and food to our students, as there's so many opportunities that are out there for them. And furthermore, Dick, we're going to announce it right here for the first time, actually in public, that next fall the College of Business will be offering a agriculture and food innovation minor. And so all you students that are out there, it's a great way to stay connected to the agriculture and food initiative. Okay, but Dick, if you think about it, that's all that you're about, that food, innovation, entrepreneurship, and your vision, okay, all of those years is coming to fruition, and we truly appreciate all that you've done for us over those years. So although his wife Mary can't be here today, I'd like to introduce Dick. Would you please stand so we can all thank Dick for all of I'd like to introduce a few other people that are here as well from our university. Associate Vice President for Strategic Partnerships, Bobby Fleischman. Okay, Bobby's back there. And President's Chief of Staff, Sherry Sargent, is also back over there. We've got some other people from the community, some former political people, former Representative Clark Johnson, also a former professor here. Thank you for coming back to the campus. We just can't get rid of you, can we? The other person we can't get rid of either is Dr. Bob Hoffman. Bob is a former Vice President of Minnesota State here in Strategic Partnerships, and now is the interim President and CEO of Greater Mankato Growth. Also with Greater Mankato Growth, and actually the Director of Green Seam, Sam Ziegler. Where's Sam? Okay, Sam's back there. Sam has been very instrumental in a lot of the things that we've been doing around the college with agriculture. I saw a few people here, and I want to just point out real quick because they're important to what we're doing. A lot of people in the egg realm. Kristen Duncanson Farms, former Associate Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Agriculture. Jim Boardroom is here. And Lori Stevemer, I saw her back there somewhere with Hubbard. All right, so thank you for all of your support around agriculture as well. U.S. Bank, a proud supporter. Brian Sowers is here, a couple College of Business alum that are on our board, Brad Rolsman and Wesley Ott. So thank you, all of you, for being a part. I'm going to give them all a hand. So now what we're here for today, our speaker, College of Business alum, Frank Jackman. He's the co-founder and chief executive officer of Local Crate. It is a rapidly growing food company on a mission to become the first locally driven food platform on a national scale. Think about that. First on a national scale. Okay, he's blazing some paths here. It's quite the thing to watch as we're going through this. And it's not been so long. Frank is not that old, and you'll hear his story when he's coming up. So it's great. So Frank's vision is to connect home cooks with the best chefs, growers, and makers in the regions across the country. Okay, so we'll continue to learn more about that. But before Local Crate, Frank worked for Schwann's company down in Marshall, where he really drove some innovation efforts there within that company, and did some and drove that landscape. A lot changing there. He's also with EXP Promotions, and you might mention a little bit about that. But before those, Frank was a student here. And as a student, worked on campus, and did lots of things. I saw him as a student. I saw him in the halls, which led me to say, there's something about that guy. And I had a company, and so 10 years ago, and I know it's 10 years ago because it was the first year of the Mankato Marathon. And the company was helping Visit Mankato, GMG, with the start of that. I grabbed Frank and I said, okay, how about you help out here, Frank? Do some sales. Okay, he jumped right on board. I dug in my email last night, and I found an email that I had that 10 years ago, Frank sold over $8,000 in ad sales as a college student for Visit Mankato. Might need to hire him back up there, right? So that's my memory of Frank, and you'll see when he gets done speaking, when he gets up there, you'll see why I thought so highly of him, that's why I hired him. Frank he had that grit, that entrepreneurial spirit, and I'm sure his company, okay, the people that are part of his company can see that in him every day. And some of his team is here today. We've got Mike Stallbaum, the co-founder and COO, okay, Daniela Bowen, Ashley Mona, and Colin Smogard and Josh LeBeau. So thank you for the team. Welcome to the university, and thank you for being here today. So, all right. So now we're going to go on that it's a little bit more than a company. Okay, Local Crate. Okay, it started as a company. Frank will talk about that. But it was a Techstar alum, which is a big deal. And if you don't know about Techstars, look it up. Okay, it delivers fresh, delicious seasonal meal kits in partnership with award-winning chefs, local farmers, and passionate makers. It's easy to make recipes, and pre-portioned ingredients are sourced locally by our growing region, reducing food and packaging waste by 80% than the traditional delivered services. That's amazing. Local Crate can be found in more than 225 locations across the Midwest and the West Coast, and a lot of this growth has taken place in the last 10 months. Unbelievable, great growth. You can find it in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, California, Arizona, and here now, starting in May, you can find Local Crate in Nebraska, Missouri, and Illinois. Lots of other ones coming up as well, especially out in the California Bay Area. It'll be exciting to hear about that. And you can find them, as you saw up there earlier, in Target, Kowalski's, Farmstead, and a lot of co-ops and more to come. And finally, I just want to put in one last bit here, and that is Local Crate is more than just a company. All right, they give back to the communities to help fight the hunger relief efforts. Okay, this is important to all of us. Okay, we know that it is an issue in our communities, And we really want to thank Local Crate for doing that and helping people fight food insecurities. So, kind of a long introduction, but there's a lot here. And so now please help me welcoming our alum and the CEO of Local Crate, Frank Jackman.
Wow, is this thing working? Yeah. Pretty amazing shit. Make me sound a lot better than I actually am. All right. First, we kept saying my vision, but it's a team's vision. So first, I'd like to introduce Colin. If you wouldn't mind standing up. Most of our team's here, some of our team. Colin is head of growth, and from a digital analytic marketing standpoint, is the guy you want to talk to. Danny's our culinary manager. She develops every single recipe in-house, does all of our photography, makes it beautiful. And then Josh is our lead developer. So from the IT standpoint, definitely pieces everything together. And then Ashley, our dietitian. And that's other team members couldn't make it today. Unfortunately, my co-founder couldn't be here, but that's just fine. I'll take the spotlight for him. So to hop in here. So catalyst for change, kind of what I really want to talk about is just the change that has happened throughout my life and how that has developed Local Crate and how Mankato has had such a big impact on that, or the School of Business here. So with Local Crate, we're helping flip the food system by bringing consumers closer to the source of their food. Right? So instead of the product traveling so far to get to you and spending so much money to procure that product, let's eat the fresh food that we already have close to us. So, I grew up in, majority of my life, I grew up in rural Minnesota. Tyler, Minnesota, it's a suburb, a small town outside of Marshall, Minnesota. And that's where Schwann's headquarters was. While I was growing up there, as I look back, we grew up in the heartland of growing fresh food. But never thought that that would be something that I would go out and actually eat. In fact, rural America is kind of considered a food desert today. The obesity rates are higher than in urban America, but we're growing all our food there. We're growing the fresh food there. I go to our local grocery store, it might not even still be there in Tyler, Minnesota, but there's a Family Dollar selling the worst stuff that you could possibly buy. So that was kind of an area that kind of bugged me as I look back on that time. So, fast forward, came to Mankato. Mankato had a big impact on my entrepreneurial spirit, what I could actually do. Dean Flannery, Dr. Flannery, the first class that I took with her kind of opened up my mind around that. It kind of forced us to create something and put it out into the world and see if people actually buy it. It was a class around creating a product that we would sell for the charitable donation to United Way. So what we did was create t-shirts to sell for homecoming. A very simple, novel idea, but it sold, and wasn't necessarily happy with the product we put out, but it was a minimal viable product that we were forced to do and put out there. There's so many times that people think about ideas and don't tell people about it or do anything about it, because you're kind of shy, you're afraid, or someone's going to steal the idea, whatever that may be. But if you don't take that next step, nothing's going to happen. Right? So that first step was the first idea of, wow, yeah, we actually did create something, we did sell it, and people are wearing it and enjoying it, regardless of what I think about the product. Right? So that was very interesting for me. Next, we partnered another initiative with Dean Flannery. We partnered with the Iron Range engineering students up north, and they created a product, which I think is very viable today. It's still not in the marketplace. Essentially, if you're going at the shooting range, you're shooting clay pigeons, think of clay pigeons set up throughout the field that is GPS tracked and censored to where you train your dog, and they go off once your dog gets into a certain proximity, and it's essentially more realistic hunting or training, if you will. So we built a business plan around that product with the engineering students, and it was very interesting. That really helped from a cross-functional standpoint. How does business people work with the creative or the brains behind the product side of a business? Next, another big, Shane Boyer was talking about Mankato Marathon. I actually forgot that I even did the sales side of the Mankato Marathon. It was just very interesting to be a part of it and be able to sit in every single meeting and just kind of soak it in. Anna Phil was a part of that with Chamber of Commerce, and she was a big piece of helping me learn and soaking that knowledge during that time. Another big thing that happened within college was a company called EXP Promotions. With the marathon, there's this idea of selling an experience, essentially. People are spending money to come enjoy this activity that you're putting on, a non-tangible. So that idea was very interesting to me, and now as we see, experiences have continued to grow and grow. So during that time, we also put on a concert for charitable donations for, I think it was called Campus Kitchen at the time, to feed the needy. So during that, we put on a concert downtown, and I thought it was fun. People came and spent money to come hang out and listen to music. So we just kept continuously doing that and inviting our friends, and it kind of started taking off, and then we said, hey, why not contact someone a lot bigger that we would love to bring? So that first person we kind of shot for the stars was an individual named Big Sean, who is now a national artist. But we kind of fake it till you make it in a way. We contacted the venue and said we had Big Sean, and we contacted the artist and said we had the venue, and we didn't have either. But it came together, right? And that's the first part of, we have an idea, and you have to pull that together, right? So it worked, and the beauty of it, I actually remember I was sitting in one of the auditoriums upstairs, I believe, and I got the news that his single had just hit the radio. So then the concert sold out like 2 days later. So it was perfect timing. And then from there, we went and worked with Kid Ink, Time Flies, Mike Stud, Logic, Somo, and it grew into more and more concerts around the nation to a national tour. So that kind of all happened throughout my time within Mankato. And it was sparked by that one experience in class with Deep Planner. Right, that idea of having a true experience, hands-on, with the help of peers throughout the college. So here I was working on EXP Promotions, and I wouldn't call it a startup, even though it should have been treated like one. We were having thousands of people in these concerts, and they're ranging across the nation. But it was more of a hobby. These were people that we were bringing that we wanted to hang out with, that we wanted to party with. People, it was like we couldn't believe that they were doing this with us, right? So it was more of something that we wanted to do. During that time, I got an internship at the Schwan Food Company, and then I was hired on at Schwan's. Now, I was taking vacation to go on these tours and do this, and then finally my manager calls me one day and she says, you have to decide, what one do you want to do? You want to do Schwan's, or you want to continue on with that? And again, I didn't really view this as a business. So, taking the safety net, I chose Schwan's. Benefits, right? Decided to go work for Schwan's, but it definitely gave me the building blocks that I needed to create a real business. The P&L knowledge, the category management, product management, cross-functional teamwork, all those things that you need to learn in order to run your own business. Schwan's was a very entrepreneurial company, and you had a chance to do those things. So I'm very grateful that I had that at Schwan's. And then that's where I met my co-founder. Now my co-founder is Mike Stahlbaum. He was the creative side of the business, and he was the corporate chef at Schwan's. We worked together at developing and launching new products into the marketplace, ideation. But Mike would create a gold standard of a product, and then what we actually launched once I took it through the manufacturing facility, the margins, and what we actually launched at the end of the day wasn't even close to the gold standard of what the chef was preparing. So we kind of just had enough. We saw the market of fresh really starting to come up. Fresh has been a very interesting category. We were working just around frozen. With fresh, you don't really do too much with the product. The consumer can manufacture that product to create what they want. So that was very exciting for us. The consumer can manufacture that gold standard, and you don't remove any integrity from the product. Oh no, I messed it up. Come on, okay. So, we launched Local Crate. Right, here's, I actually was speaking in the class earlier today, and the guy asked me, well, what are some of the lows? We were talking all the good things. And yes, a startup has a ton of lows. Not 90% lows, right? So here's a low. Even though it was amazing, it was a low. We started without a product, and we were at the farmer's market, Mike and I. These horrible t-shirts. Just hated them, right? But we had to get them printed like in 2 days or something like that. So it's just like, get it out there and see if people are actually interested. So we went to the farmer's market and we're just talking to people. And then we finally launched the product. We left Schwann's before we could do anything. We took a huge risk of leaving our cushy corporate benefits job and went on our own. And we couldn't launch a product until we left. So we had to build it for the next 6 months, which is way too long. If you are building something, do it a lot quicker, get it out there, gain feedback. We were still in the corporate mindset of we have to build this beautiful brand, beautiful photography, beautiful packaging. So it took a little while. And we raised friends and family money in order to get it moving. And then we launched that year in November 2015. But taking a step back, talking about the food system. So at the core of Local Crate, what are we doing? Local Crate does have a product, which is a meal kit. But we've identified a true problem with that meal kit that we're developing with Local Crate at its core, which we're calling regional food systems. How do we deliver fresh to consumers the fastest? So there's a big problem. The national food system, while there is a lot of great things, it has created its own behemoth problems along with it. 50 to 60 years ago, there wasn't a national food system that was built on the backs of CPG companies with 90% of processed foods. 90% of processed food is what goes through the national food system today. Only 10% of it is actually fresh. So with that, when you go to a grocery store and you purchase something right off the shelf, on average, the ingredient cost in that product is only 17%. Now that ranges from 5% to 30%. But that is the record low in America today. So that's why we're seeing all these issues with farmers. Farmers are doing the hardest work today. And they're getting paid the least out of everybody with that product. They are at the very end of the supply chain. They're the last ones to get paid. And with that, that product travels on average 1,500 miles to get to the consumer or even to the retailer. And just 12 plants and 5 animals make up 75% of what's eaten today. So that biodiversity and what we actually can eat and grow and consume is a lot bigger than that. So where's the rest of that money going? If it's not going to the food that we're eating, it's going to the beautiful packaging. It's going to the box on the outside, the bag that's on the inside, and another bag that's in there, and then you actually get your product. It's going to multiple middlemen that have to touch that product because it's traveling so far. It's going to that transportation cost that continue to rise today. So, the solution as Local Crate looks to it. The food system has a lot of facets to it. But as we look at it, this is an area that we can affect and that we want to push forward. So the solution is moving that supply chain closer to the customer and closer to the farmer. So we remove all the intermediaries out of the process in order to remove all those transportation costs, in order to remove all those waste, in order to remove all the specialized packaging that's needed for it to get across America or across the globe. And with that, it's fresher, it's healthier, it's more sustainable, and it's biodiverse. We're able to pull ingredients from different regions that we're in today. And we're able to put 43% of our costs towards that quality ingredient and towards that farmer being able to purchase that product. Because we're either buying it direct or within one step from that farmer. So, consumers are agreeing with this today, that decentralization is a solution. Not the solution, but it's part of the solution. There's a $20 billion local food market out there today, which is outpacing the food and beverage growth today. Now, consumers, the number one reason why they're purchasing local is because it's fresh and healthy. Right away, people think oh, we're purchasing local because it's supportive and I know where my food comes from. Yeah, that's third and fourth. First is what is the consumer getting out of it? They're getting the freshest product and what they believe is the healthiest product, right? It's perception for that consumer. And then the number one purchasing driver of goods today is now fresh. So that's why local is continuing to grow. And then you're able to tell the story where that product comes from. So why wasn't this possible before? Why weren't we doing this before? Well, 10 years ago, 11, 12 years ago, the number one driver of food within food service and grocery stores is national corporate product. It was Applebee's, it was Olive Garden, it was McDonald's, all these restaurants that are centralizing and then distributing. Well, now chefs are upcoming, independent grocers are upcoming, and they're providing a product that consumers are asking for. Chefs want the freshest product and the tastiest product to give that experience to their consumers. So you're starting to see these pockets of amazing food pop up across the nation. And it's led by chefs. Trends are always led by the person that's in front of the consumer. And chefs are in front of the consumer. So with that, these procurement chains have been developed, and these markets have been developed in every single major region. So instead of sourcing from US Foods or Cisco, you're sourcing from this procurement chain that's localized in each region. So it actually isn't that tough in order to source locally. So next thing is about fresh. 85% of consumers don't know what they're going to eat just a couple of hours before what they're actually going to have for dinner. Right? So that's why convenience is so key. That's why we're eating not the best things majority of the time. It's something that we need very quick. Right? Now, as we've seen it start to shift, 49% of the all-dollar growth in retail is from the fresh categories. So we're starting to see that perimeter of the store and fresh is starting to grow. Now what's interesting is only 13% of all online food and beverage sales is from fresh food, because it's very hard to distribute fresh food across the nation. So that's where local crates come into play. So with Local Crate, we partner with award-winning chefs and farmers and makers to create seasonal, amazing recipes. Right? We've done 2.1 million revenue in 2018. We didn't launch our retail product until May of 2018, so about 9 months now, and that's now 75% of our business. So that idea of fresh for retailers is really starting to take off for us. And we've proven it here in the Midwest and the West Coast. The biggest thing that we were told right away was, well, you can't scale local. Well, why can't we? Why can't you open up another restaurant that's specialized for that region, essentially? You can do that. Well, why can't we open up a commissary kitchen that's specialized for that region then? You can scale local across the nation, and that's what Local Crate's doing today. So there was a big pivot point with Local Crate. We were doing direct-to-consumer and shipping meal kit boxes direct-to-consumer. Local Crate was very fortunate to be accepted into the Techstars Target Retail Program. This is something we thought we had zero chance of getting into. We applied because one of our board members was pushing for us to do it because he thought we had a chance, and he's part of Techstars. So we're like, all right, we'll do it. And we turned it in like 2 hours before it was actually due. But we were excited, and then we had interviews, and just keep going, and every step we're like, there's no way we're going to make it. They received 2,000 applicants from across the world. 2 made it from India, 1 from Belgium, 2 from the West Coast, 2 from the East Coast, and 2 from the Midwest, I believe. So we were very fortunate to be accepted within that program. And what happens is every single one of those companies move their headquarters to Target's headquarters. So this is a big deal. And then those companies gain investment in order to continue proving out their thesis of what Target's interested in. That might be an opportunity to work with that large retailer. So while we're there, Target asked, hey, let's look at retail meal kits with your product. Said, okay, it's Target, let's look at it. Right? What we found out is that the localized, regionalized model of fresh is what makes our product click for retailers. Since we're not shipping it across the nation, it's low order minimums, small case pack sizes, and low waste, allowing retailers to allocate that fresh inventory exactly how they need to make it financially viable for their product system. Now with national players, you're shipping high order minimums in order to ship it across the nation. Large case pack size, they're not gaining the velocity that's needed. They can't allocate inventory. They're marking down 60 to 70% of the product, and that's why they're being thrown off shelf today. So that's what we found out at Target, and Target only went forward with launching our product after testing against HelloFresh and Chef. So we were very excited about that. And we built this product with Target, a whole new business essentially, in 8 weeks. It was the fastest Target's ever done a product from concept to shelf. And we're very excited and proud about that. So then after this, we actually launched in Target about 2 weeks later. And we gained a lot of knowledge from this, a lot of mentorship, and met some amazing friends along the way. So we quickly started gaining traction with our product within retail because there wasn't really truly another option for retailers to purchase. So we're in Target today, we're in natural grocers, Kowalski's, national co-ops, and continuing to expand. One that we're very excited about, hopefully in about 2.5 weeks here. Whole Foods is very interesting to work with, especially with a brand new product, brand new category. We've had to create new systems that work for Whole Foods, which Whole Foods is an amazing organization still. But we are launching a product with Ayesha Curry. She is the largest food influencer in the nation. She is Steph Curry's wife, the basketball player. And we're very excited. They're excited. And we built this brand called Homemade, crafted by Local Crate for Whole Foods. And it's a great partnership that we're really excited to get out there. So, the future of Local Crate. Where does it go beyond Milkins? Milkins, again, made us realize this need for regional food systems in order to deliver fresh to retailers at low order minimums, small case pack size, and being able to allocate inventory exactly how the retailer needs. Well, why can't we do that with any fresh product? So we will continue working with retailers to develop products that they are sourcing nationally at the same price on shelf with locally sourced product and less waste. So we'll start introducing new products within that category. And then we'll follow on with our online business when we launch those new markets in order for consumers to purchase other local goods that's hard to get or it's not at their retailer today. And what's interesting is we see 10% of consumers on shelf come to our website to watch the videos of the chefs and farmers and makers that are attached with that meal kit. That's a good acquisition channel for those consumers for the online marketplace. So, as I mentioned some of our team members, with the startup, it's all about the team. There's been times where we wouldn't have made it without the team. I have to talk my co-founder off the ledge, I feel like every other day. He's the creative side, right? So I'm more of the risk taker and the business side. So we have an amazing team, and our team has got us this far, right? Our team has built this, not Mike and I. So one thing I know people wanted to chat about is the investment side. Well, how did Local Crate get the funds in order to move forward and move that quick, right? I would say my own personal advice is if you want investment, there's a reason you should take on that investment. For Local Crate, it was in order for us to move fast and work with a retailer like Target. If we would have just had our funds that we had before, there's no way we would have been able to develop that product. We wouldn't be in Target. We'd have a third of the business we're doing today without the upside of what we're going after, right? So, and when you're raising funds, it's a whole other world and a whole other business you're starting, essentially. You have to talk to a lot of people, and you want to make sure that you gain the right partner, right partners that you're bringing on from an investment standpoint. Dollars essentially are a commodity, right? Experience and mentorship is the true unique piece that you get with an investor, and you want to make sure you're getting more beyond that dollar from those investors. And I feel like we've gotten some great mentors, great investors. Gotten a few that are kind of bad eggs, but we'll figure it out. So we've gotten, and all from the Midwest, which we're very proud of today. So Syndicate Fund, Matchstick, M25, Firebrand, and the Techstars Target Program, and some great angel investors. So we're very fortunate and lucky for that. And we are raising our next convertible note to get us to profitability, which we're very excited about here in May. We'll own our own destiny and continue moving forward how we need. So with that, we kind of talked about a lot of different things that have changed throughout my journey and Local Crate's journey, right? If there's anything that is constant, right, we talk about change, and it's how you handle that change and how you jump from that change to the next thing, how you continue improving. We always kind of have this, my co-founder and I have this hard saying of, if we're comfortable, then we're doing something wrong, right? But a better way of saying that is if you're comfortable, then you're not learning, right? If you're not continuously learning, then you're just sitting. So we always are trying to push it to the next level. What's the next thing that we're doing? What's the next thing that we're looking at? And trying to be strategic about that too, right? So from Tyler to Mankato to EXP and learning around that Schwann standpoint to Local Crate and learning from that Techstars program is how we're here today. So that's Local Crate, and I think afterwards we'll leave it up for questions, but I think we'll have, yes, Shane?
Wow, isn't that amazing? A lot of things have really happened in 10 years, and you can see why way back when as a student, he just really stood out and really made an impact here as well. But that's what I love about being a professor and teaching these students is seeing them going on and making an impact in our community. And I know a couple of decades ago, those professors said the same thing about you too, Dick. And so thanks both Frank and Dick for your accomplishments and contributions to the university. And now what I'm going to do is introduce our interviewer for the day. Is going to interview Frank on a few questions and a little fireside, a little chat here. Dr. Brenda Flannery is the Dean of the College of Business, and Dr. Flannery received her bachelor's and her MBA from Western Illinois University, and then went on to get her doctorate degree or PhD from the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. She's held a number of positions here. She started as a faculty member, assistant associate professor, and then was the assistant vice president for undergraduate studies and international education, and has been involved with numerous committees and just all kinds of activities on campus. So I'm going to introduce Brenda here, as she's been the Dean of the College of Business since 2011, and I could say that she is Frank's second favorite professor, but since she's my boss, she's Frank's favorite professor. So please welcome Dean Brenda Flannery.
Okay, great. Well, I wasn't expecting you to talk about the class when you came here, so thank you for that shout out. And I think it's always a reminder the kind of impact that faculty in the university can have on students. And as I look out here, I know we have another Frank or another Frankie in the audience. There'll be another startup happening from the students here in the audience. But this is the 6th year that we've had the Richard Schmidt Food Entrepreneurship event. Thank you so much, Dick. It's really an honor of ours to be able to continue your legacy and the kind of impact that you had in food. And, we're talking about food retailing in some way, too, and talking about you being a disruptor. But we've had some really great speakers in the past. Last year we had Angie Bastian, Boom Chicka Pop. We've had Mark Davis from Davisco and Davis Family Farms. But indeed, you're the youngest food entrepreneur that we've had, and so that's exciting for us because there's not much distance between when you were a student and what you and your team are doing right now. And I think that's a great testament to this entrepreneurial spirit that we're finding in society right now. So I'm going to ask you just a few questions to kind of look at you and what you're doing sort of as disruption, which is kind of what I see it as. And you were just at the Potato Expo in Austin, Texas. Yeah, I didn't know there was such a thing as a Potato Expo, but you were there just a few months ago. And you said that the local crate brand is built on the story of food. And so I just kind of asked, what's your story with food? I mean, are you a foodie? Have you always loved food, or?
Not necessarily. I think I started to enjoy food once I worked at the Schwab Food Company when we were doing food immersions within different parts of America. But I think on the backbones, Local Crate's brand is built on the backs of other brands that I work with, telling the story of food, meaning the farmers, makers, and other brands that we work with. We want to tell their story, and that gives validity to our story, right? So bringing those brands together is the power of it, telling the story. That's what we get with local, right? We don't want to say local as purely a mileage. It's a story in a community. So how do you tell that to people?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that story, I think one of the things I think is so great about the story of Local Crate is that you're bringing the chef into the story. In fact, oftentimes your story starts with the chef. You had Gavin Kaysen on one of your slides, and really probably one of our most exciting chefs that's known right now in the Twin Cities. Have there been stories around food that have just like really captured you? Like you thought, wow, I want people to know that about food.
Yeah, not necessarily, but something that does come to mind and it blows my mind. Raise of hands, how many people have seen how a cashew is grown?
I'm not seeing any hands raised.
Like
one.
Right, a cashew is grown out of this massive fruit on a tree, and one little nut comes out the bottom of this fruit.
And that's all you get?
And that's all you get is one cashew. So that's why cashews are so expensive. But nobody knows cashews are expensive, but right? It's knowing what that food, how it's actually produced and what actually goes into it may change your mind on certain things. Right? So that's something recent that has just blown my mind. I just can't believe they actually use land to do that.
They use land to grow one nut on a big...
Yeah, like there's, out of one tree they maybe get, I'm just throwing a number, 80 cashews. And it's crazy.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So when you eat that cashew, one at a time.
Don't complain about how much you spend on it.
Do you remember your aha moment for Local Crate? Do you remember like where you were, or kind of who were the first people you shared that with?
Aha moment. I think Mike and I had the idea.
Was it over a beer?
I had a lot of fun here as a kid. But I'd say the moment that I remember of like, yep, we're gonna do this, was I had Mike create a meal kit essentially, like a recipe, and it was a pork chop with risotto and pear sauce reduction over it. With, I think, Grana Padano cheese on it. It was absolutely amazing. And I had him make one for me so I could bring it home and cook. And then I had my wife cook it. And I was just like, oh yeah, it's just a leftover recipe, leftover ingredients. He said, just cook it this way. And she cooked it. We sat down and ate it. And she's like, that was amazing. You should tell him to put something together, put something like that together for us again. I was like, well, let me tell you something. We are going to be poor for the next 3 years. And then that's when we decided that was kind of, all right, let's look into this a little more.
So she was your wife Molly was there right from the beginning, and she also was at MSU grad, which is pretty cool. So you're a young founder. You're a young founder and CEO. Have you ever thought about that you're really still pretty young to be doing this, or you're shaking your head no? No. You just go for it.
I think if you're younger, you kind of have a more at first, or you're more willing to take the risk, right? But I mean, throughout Techstars and the tech companies that I've met with and other CEOs, there's plenty of people that are younger than me. Younger than our group, right? Danny is like 23, 24, actually she's 23, 24. Danny joined our team and there was just two of us, and she joined.
I was 23 then.
23 then, right? So definitely not. I think the biggest thing within startups is just getting things done, right? Talking about it, but moving, and then trusting you got at that stage with as much research as you can, but you have to move and get it done. And that's what we do and execute, right? Execute as fast as we can. So I don't even think age is even a contemplation. I think age becomes a contemplation when we're having meetings with other food people. With food, I do feel a little young, right? Especially, like we have a CMO, a little older than me, but we'll sit down for a meeting with other food people and they'll think she's the CEO because she's older, right? So it just depends what type of groups you're with.
So what gets you most excited to start each day?
I think it's different projects,
Yeah.
right? It gets me excited. Like, you have to remember what gets you excited sometimes because startups can be so low, right? Cash flow, different types of things, and then just remembering what we're trying to do and continue pushing for that. But I think they are nice to have those wins and project wins, right? Like I can't wait for the Whole Foods product to launch. That will be absolutely amazing because a bunch of PR will come from it and other things, and we'll continue to move Local Crate forward. I think that's something that I get excited about, just continuously moving it forward.
So what wakes you up in the middle of the night?
Oof. I think quality of the product is something going to be bad, right? Is it going to go out? Are consumers going to be happy? And just being able to take care of the team.
And how do you juggle like Local Crate with, everything else that's going on in your life?
You just do it. It's always, you don't realize how tough it is until you kind of step back, but you just get things done. Like in college, it was the toughest, stressful time, right? Like high school was so stressful, and then college was so stressful. But when you look back on it, it's like, oh, I could have done a little bit more. Probably could have done something else. Probably could have added to it. You adjust, you change, and your workload's just different. What you perceive as stressful maybe isn't so stressful anymore. And I think that's part of that comfortable stage, right? I think somewhere that I really perform is when it becomes very uncomfortable. Like where we have, our backs are up against the wall and we have to get stuff done, right? That's because of that risk, that challenge, that comfortability side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you do well when things are really challenging. Yeah. And you've always been that way?
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
We were sharing before, I remember when Frank was creating the t-shirt for homecoming. And I remember he had a great design, and then he realized he had to get approval, and I think you had you had to get university approval to use a certain design. And I remember.
Let us have any fun ones.
But in 2 days, you had to figure out how to pivot and do something else. And I remember thinking, he's really good on his feet. So looks like sounds like that's something that you've taken forward. Yeah, awesome. So you've pivoted. You've also it seems like really evolved the vision of the company. And the company's really evolved. Like you didn't necessarily think that you were going to do retail in the beginning. Is that right?
Yeah, we actually had a few offers from smaller retailers of looking into a retail product, and it just wasn't worth the squeeze. Direct to consumer can be very attractive from the amount of opportunity pretty quick because you don't have to deal with any system. It's yours and you ship it directly to the consumer. So the amount of growth that was happening was very exciting. So retail wasn't really an option. But when Target calls, it's a different option.
Pretty exciting. So you talked about change, but really kind of a lot of what you're talking about, and I don't know if even really the audience gets this. I mean, we're talking about a live case study right now. I mean, it's really pretty cool. I mean, you've only launched back not even a year ago, in retail. So we're really, I mean, it's pretty wild, and you guys are living it. So, but I mean, we are in a live case study here of a disruptive approach to how food is distributed.
Distributed, procured, distributed, and consumed. Yeah.
So that wasn't part of your, was that part of your original vision?
No, I think the original vision was local, fresh to consumers as fast as we could. But the idea of that model working, regionalization working so well for retailers wasn't part of the vision. And once we realized that, that's when we really started taking off. So that's been, we kind of found that niche for our product in order to move forward. And niche is the wrong word, but channel, in order to really take our product to the next level.
We were talking today, it was almost like the carpet squares. You know, the carpet's kind of gone into the direction where rather than one full piece of carpet, now we go carpet squares. And so that if one piece of the carpet needs to be changed, you can take it out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're regionalizing national food distribution.
Yeah, it definitely is that. Within each region, right, it's no longer you create one product and you ship it across the nation and that flavor is for everybody. We create recipes and products based off of the flavors within that region and then the research done within that region, or specifically for that retailer even. So it's customized for those consumers. And then if something unforsaken, nothing happens, something bad happens, that problem is contained. We know exactly where it came from, and then we know exactly where it went because it's within our region, it's with our partners that we have direct relationships with.
It's amazing, it's awesome. So I'm going to ask you a few speed questions, if that's okay.
You sounded this earlier today.
Yeah. So, and we don't have to go too fast, but I just thought it would be fun to ask you a couple of things. So, your favorite vegetable and purveyor at this moment?
My favorite vegetable, so boring though, but right now it's celery. I don't know if it's I'm not getting enough water or not, but it's so refreshing. Celery with hummus, right? So that's celery and chickpeas, I guess. I don't know if you call chickpeas a vegetable. No, probably not. Yeah, no.
Do you have a particular celery purveyor?
I wouldn't say, I guess there's HAFA, which is the Hmong Farmer Association, which is really cool. I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but you should look it up.
Tell us a little bit about it.
We have a large Hmong population in the cities, and they're amazing farmers, and they farm it themselves. So they have lots of land out towards taking the highway down to Rochester from the cities, from St. Paul, and they just have plots of land throughout these fields that they individually tend to. And it's just one of the most amazing things. The product is just so amazing, highest quality. So that's definitely a great one because they have so much passion within their craft. That's a big one.
That's awesome.
And then another one I really love is Hidden Stream Farms. They produce, one of the main products we get from them is pork chops or pig products, but their product is amazing, really good.
And where are they at?
They're down towards the Rochester area too. Yeah. And then Owatonna, we have Larry Schultz eggs. Those are really good. Yes.
So a lot of southern Minnesota purveyors. That's dynamite. So I'm going to go back to your music.
Yeah.
So who would you like to see in concert this summer?
Concert this summer? Who would I like to see? I don't think I'm not a big go to big concerts because I don't feel like it's a great experience. I love seeing upcoming artists that nobody would know. So if I said it, like Bryce Vine is somebody I really want to see.
And you want to know Bryce Vine? You're so cutting edge.
Anyways, Bryce Vine, a venue that has only 1,000 people in it, and then he's going to be big here shortly. So then it'd be really cool to be able to experience that when it's small and the same songs are on the radio. Right, so that's what I like to do.
Where do you go to find your musicians, like Cutting Edge? Do you go to?
Now it's just Spotify. It's always just too easy. It used to be kind of a sport, if you will, finding the new upcoming artists, but now it's almost too easy.
And you still love music, and you still?
Yeah, still love it. Would be awesome one day. It's kind of very saturated and kind of jaded, and not so much. I mean, almost too much fun. And I think that's why there's so much jade going on. But it would be interesting.
What's a really memorable meal you've had in Minnesota?
Well, now you brought up that pork risotto. So risotto is like one of my favorite things to eat. If anybody hasn't had it, but definitely having a good risotto with any type of meat on it, braised meat is amazing. Yeah.
But the meal that you brought home from Swan's years ago, that was memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a start of local bread,
Yes.
so awesome.
Definitely. Now there's no way we can run that recipe again. It costs way too much. It was not. That doesn't fit in the P&L.
So even when you make choices about what you're putting together, you're always having to think, okay, can we?
Yeah, if there's one thing that's king, it's the P&L.
And you learned that at Swan's.
Yeah. I mean, constantly learning, still.
So a lot of analytics, a lot of data, you're always looking at.
Yeah, and it's constantly changing, right? As you're continuously growing, different analytic points are coming in, and you have to adjust for that. That's something that we are catching back up on, right? And then continuously gaining that information as much as we can.
Recommended startup or leadership book or podcast?
There was actually one I just read recently called E-Myth.
E-Myth.
Yeah, and I was watching and I'm not a book reader, that's what's absolutely crazy too, but I'm more of magazines and articles and podcasts and quick information. But I was watching the founder of Lululemon, and he was talking about one of his biggest books that he read was E-Myth, and the stories within there, and like kind of the myth behind fast growth startups and venture capital backed business, and how you should look at product, good business, and compared to a pure technology product. And VCs love to put the pure technology product tactics on product goods. And that causes a lot of problems, especially with cash flow. Right, so that's one that I read recently.
E-Myth.
E-Myth, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to open it up here for questions, so the audience, be thinking about a question you might have, but I'm going to ask you one last question. What is your advice to these entrepreneurial students or yourself 10 years ago? It's a piece of advice that you would give.
Yeah, I think this is a change piece, right? And that's why I think this was so important, is that within, obviously, you need the basis of the classes that you're learning within, but then what's that next level that you can learn? And that's real experience and hands-on. And actually doing things and seeing the results of that and hopefully being able to improve it next time. And I don't think I really noticed that that's what I was doing. I was just taking on opportunities wherever it was. I think it was just something that was just kind of happening. And fortunately, I just continued to move along with it. From the t-shirts to the marathon to the concerts, all that, it was constantly learning for that next stage. Everyone is in class learning the exact same thing, and hopefully everyone takes it in good. Where you excel is what are you doing above and beyond, and how you become that leader and do something different, right? And look at things differently. And that's what experience does. Right?
So your advice would be, go try things?
Yeah, just do it. Again, just do it. Right? Sounds like an Nike dealer. Just get it done. Yeah.
Excellent. So you ready to take some Q&A?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Let's do it.
We're going to turn off the lights. Never quite sure what's coming at you, right?
Actually, one other person that I wanted to mention too was another professional that I help now is Queen Booker. So,
and I did see her here. I'm not sure if I'm seeing her right now, but I did see that she was here earlier. Awesome. So it feels like the lights are coming up. And the microphones, where's the microphones? All right, so, question. Down here in front by Chris.
Frank, thank you for being here. I'm from Cotton, Minnesota, so I know where Tyler is. Tell us about the conversations you have with your investment partners.
All different types of conversations, from employee interactions to strategy to life, how we're doing, how we're feeling, how's the company feeling. There's certain people that you tend to connect with differently, and you have different conversations with those individuals. And there's some people that like to be hands off, right? But are always willing to have a conversation. But I think a big thing in responsibility is having them be okay with what we're going to be doing and where we're moving forward to, and bringing that plan to them and them understanding that that's what's going to happen, right? And them understanding too that it's a startup and everything doesn't go to plan, especially this early, right? But as long as we're continuously learning and growing, that's what we're striving for. And then hopefully being realistic of where we could go. I think that was the toughest thing early on, is that we really had no clue how quick we could go or grow or where it could go. So you kind of have this pie in the sky numbers, but as long as you're continuing to move forward and improve, to just gain feedback as much as possible. Yeah,
thank you.
Good questions. We have one right here in the front. And then
Hello. So what has been the hardest state for you to expand into local freight?
Yeah, I'd say where we started, Minnesota, right? Minnesota only has so long of a growing region, but a lot of people right away think, when you think locally, you think of fresh produce. You don't think about like storage crops or proteins, meats, grains, things like that, are just products made by local makers like sauces. So you're able to pull together a lot of different products to make up a recipe. But I'd say the toughest so far has been Minnesota.
Thank you.
so, question, Maddie?
And then hydroponic farms are absolutely amazing.
Alright, so I have two related questions. First one is, what were the main reasons why you chose to go with Swan Food Company instead of EXP? And related to that, if you had chosen to go with EXP instead, do you know what would have been your next step to be moving forward?
Yeah. Who knows with the EXP, but I think as I look back what I would have liked to done, if I would have chose the EXP route, and I think no matter what, that wouldn't have been the right answer with what I'm seeing today. But if I would have been, how do we take it seriously and start putting contracts into place, different parameters around the business to make sure we're continuously successful. And I think we were just bringing people we loved, and other people loved them, so it was successful. But how long were we going to continue hitting that? I don't know how long. If it would have turned into a business, there would have been some losses there. And so I think Schwann's was the right path. It was definitely the safer path at the time, and I think that's why I fell back into it. The benefits, the pay, everything around it, because there wasn't that structure developed with that other business. So I think it was definitely the right choice. And then what a corporation gives you is, again, structure to learn on how to develop that structure for your business. If I would have just started a business truthfully at that time, I would have never really looked at a P&L too much. I mean, what I learned in college, but not too much of actually structuring out a P&L, the financials, and just category management. Wouldn't have been there. So who knows, that would probably have been a wreck. As I think back.
Hi Frank.
But a lot of fun.
My question is, I'm right here. Too close. My question is, could you talk a little bit about some of the leadership characteristics that your team exhibited that helped you be successful?
Yeah, I guess a very easy thing is just picking up things and running with it. Right? I think a huge shift for me was running the business and being a founder, and then managing the business and being the CEO. That was a huge transition, and bringing on the right people that helps run the business. and letting them do that. And them doing things for certain reasons that I don't need to hop into. As we look forward, my job should be vision, hiring, fundraising, and then helping our team. So that's been, I think, number one with our team is picking it up and executing. Yeah.
I've got a question back here. Way back here.
Yeah.
First of all, I love everything you guys got going on. I think it's really cool. Being an entrepreneur and being a leader are cohesive but separate at the same time. And when you're on your high notes as an entrepreneur, it's kind of like an up and down roller coaster, right? And being a leader is very important. When you're down on these low points and you start to question some of the things that you're talking about, how do you keep your team motivated and how do you not critique yourself as a leader to the point where it's going to negatively affect you?
I think I'm constantly learning that piece, right? Our team's very supportive. Our team understands the risk that we're taking and what we're doing, but also understands what we're creating. And the risk is worth the reward of what we're creating, right? If that reward wasn't there, our team wouldn't be wanting to do it, right? There needs to be something that we're going after and seeing the good things that are coming and the good things that we're creating today, right? At every corner of our business, we feel like we're doing something good. From the vendors, from the chefs, to the giving back, to the farmers, to the makers, to the consumers and what they're eating. I mean, this next week, there'll be 2,000 to 3,000 people sitting down eating dinner with Local Crate. That's absolutely amazing, right? And that's just one little facet of our business that we get to look at and go, that's cool, we did that, right? We kind of forget that sometimes. But I think that first part of that low, I think something that I've learned over this past 6 months and being in a tough situation is having empathy and our team showing me that and listening and having emotionality, right? Before, I think a big thing about me was let's execute, let's continue to move forward. But now it's listening and helping where we can and having that empathy for everybody. That answer the question?
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
Given that, do you believe that big time like distributors and stuff could mimic your same business strategy? And if so, like localizing produce essentially? If so, how would you go about combating them as competitors?
Yeah, I think today from a competition standpoint, any business, almost any product, it can't be replicated, right? Amazon could do, if they want to do anything, anybody do, right? Within context, right? So yes, definitely. But building that moat around the relationship within each region and having a unique business model is going to take a while for somebody to develop that infrastructure that's needed. If all we were doing was building a brand, I'd be a little bit more concerned. But building that infrastructure is the moat for us. That takes a little bit longer for people to go after, right? It has only, we've raised 1.8 total in order to get here and build out those 2 regions. That isn't that much, right? Blue Apron's raised, I don't know how much, that's a whole other story. Could they go after that? But it's a completely different mind shift, completely different business model, right? And could they be successful? Yeah.
So I saw that you had a local vendor from like a small area that I'm from in Elgin, Minnesota, the Hidden Streams.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty interesting because I know that family. So I just wanted to know, like, how do you go about finding your vendors and what decisions and what factors you consider when you're picking these small local producers?
Yeah, so there's usually 2 ways right away. Number one is working with the chefs within that region. Who are they sourcing from? Who are they buying from? Who has that quality, good product that they're selling to their consumers? And they've built relationships with. And then our seasonal vegetables, our seasonal items. Next is these procurement chains that I was talking about that have been developed from the ground up in every single region. There is a Cisco-like procurement chain in every region sourcing, procuring local goods. So we partner with them, and we partner with them in a big way because we're bringing to them mass retail for them to pull through local goods. Right? So we partner with them, and then we package and produce the product. We then sell it to mass retail, or we sell it back, or put it back into their distribution chain, and they sell it to their independent co-ops or grocers that they're working with. So they're making a double whammy on it. We're buying it from them, and then they're selling it again. Right? So that's a great partnership that we then again continue to tie months around, and can contract out in the future.
Good question, Q&A.
So I want to ask, what's the difference between your business and local family restaurant?
Yeah, local family grocers is a lot of different things. It's a retail business compared to a manufacturer, right? It's a local creates manufacturing value-added local goods for you to sell, right? So now you can go make it yourself and put it on the shelf, but the labor is going to be very high in order to build a brand, a product. It's just going to be too much to execute, right? Especially against a product like Local Crates that focuses on that, right? And a lot of local grocers, it's hard to create a value-added fresh section because you have to have a commissary kitchen. You have to have all this other whole business in order to supply it. So that's why we partner with retailers on that side. Because for instance, there's retailers that tried to create their own meal kits because there wasn't an option on the marketplace for them to buy. They're $19.99 and above, $21 and above. They're making $0 on it because their labor is way too high. So we come in and do private label for them and then have a Local Crate right on the shelf.
Excellent. We have a question in the back.
From a business owner standpoint, I'm assuming that taking on capital and taking on investment is probably one of the highest risks associated with being a business owner. I just want to find out if you can pinpoint the moment or situation when you knew you had to take on investment in order to scale. Perhaps demand was super high or you just forecasted numbers, but perhaps there was a moment that you knew you wanted to take that risk.
Yeah, I think, so first I'd say the biggest risk that you take is what you put your friends and family through, right? Not necessarily an investor. An investor, their inherent risk is that they're going to lose money, right? You never want to lose their money, but it happens all the time. That's what they're in the game, right? But you don't want to put friends and family through that. Right? I think that's the biggest risk, and there's that extra pressure on your friends and family. Now, when was that time that we decided we wanted to bring outside capital to grow the business and give up a piece of our business? We had proven out the product to a minimal viable standpoint and hit profitability. And we loved that product, but we wanted to grow the mission. We wanted it to not be Frank and Mike's business. We wanted it to be Local Crates, right? If we wanted to create a lifestyle business and do all right, we wouldn't have raised capital. We just stay in a good business and hopefully grown, and maybe somebody would have stole our idea if we didn't scale fast enough. But we didn't want to risk that. We wanted to bring on great partners, great people, raise the capital so that we can grow and see this mission come to life. Right? So I think a turning point for us was just, this isn't about Frank and Mike, it's about Local Crate.
Any other questions? Not seeing any other questions. I want to thank everyone for coming. This concludes our 6th annual Richard Schmidt Food Entrepreneurship event featuring Frank Jackman and Local Crate. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank you again, Dick and Mary, for your longtime support of this lecture series. Thank you so much. once again, thank you, Frank, for being here. And I want to invite you to come on down to the, where are we again, Jen?
Kirk Lounge.
Hearth Lounge, thank you. We're down at the Hearth Lounge. We'll have some hors d'oeuvres there. Frank will be there. The rest of his team will be there. We hope you'll join us for some refreshments. I want to thank the College of Business Director of Marketing Events, Jen Cucurullo. Jen, where are you? Can you come up here so we can say thank you? I want to thank Jen and her team of Maddie, Kayla, and Courtney. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for we're going to have another really exciting event on April 15th. It's the 5th annual Big Ideas Challenge where student entrepreneurs are going to compete for over $10,000 to help them launch their business. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Frank.